Well, breaking news coming in. Those are latest visuals of Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman leaving her Safdarjung Road residence and moving towards North Block. Sabyasachi, my colleague, joins me live. Also joining me this morning is Priyank Tripathi. Priyank Tripathi, well, officially, the Finance Minister is on the road to present her 7th consecutive budget. What, if anything, did she say to the media present there?
No, Navika, Sabya is right there, and while Nirmala Sitharaman is about to reach North Block, where we are standing right now. We don't expect that any statement will be coming out from her, because as you know, as a part of the previous President, she has never spoken to the media before she has spoken inside the parliament. So it will be another 5 minutes for her to reach the North Block. We are standing at the Ministry of Finance, and Pankaj Chaudhary is the MOS who has reached here early morning, and we have been watching that how the senior officials have been rushing towards the Ministry of Finance Affairs. Why wouldn't they, Navika? It's an important day. This is a day when the whole country will be looking at them. What we are expecting that at around 9 a.m. Nirmala Sitharaman will be leaving from this Ministry of Finance, and then straight away, barely almost 500 meters away from here is the President House, where she will go along with the Baikata, and from there straight away.
Consolidated Fund of India is chaired by the President. So before the car reaches North Block, where Priyank is, Sabya?
Absolutely. And in fact, Sabya was there when Nirmala Sitharaman left her residence. In fact, Sabyasachi, take us through what exactly happened over there, who all were accompanying the Finance Minister. It's going to be a very long day for the Finance Minister. In fact, it's not just the formalities before the presentation of the budget inside the House, but also following the budget presentation, a very long and hectic schedule that the Finance Minister has today. Take us through what you saw, Sabyasachi.
Well, absolutely. See, it's going to be a very long schedule for Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman, and exactly at 8:30, she left from her residence. She was alone. She did not speak to the media, as we had seen that in the past as well. Nirmala Sitharaman does not speak to the media before she presents the budget. Now she's heading towards the Rashtrapati. She's heading towards the North Block. Anytime from now, she would be reaching there. From there, we will be seeing that famous photo op over there, after which she would be heading towards the Rashtrapati Bhavan. Then after that, she would be heading towards the Parliament. See, it's going to be a very long day, and yesterday as well, after the survey was presented, there was a crucial meeting of the leaders that took place in the Parliament, that how to, they discussed about the floor management and also how to tackle the narratives that is going to come in from the side of the opposition, because the opposition have been saying that they have no expectation. So to counter all these narratives from the opposition, there was a meeting yesterday that took place, and now a few minutes back, Nirmala Sitharaman left from her residence. She was alone by leaving from her residence, and she's heading towards the North Block. See, it's going to be a very long day for her,
absolutely long day for her and long day for all of us. But a viewer just written in, Dr. Ravindra Vatsan, says, my apology to all TV channels and other media reporters who are calling me to get ready with my comments on the budget. Even after 43 years of married life, what to talk about the national budget? I cannot understand my home budget. Well, on a lighter note, that's what some people have to say. But let me go across straight to Shehzad Poonawalla. Shehzad Poonawalla, Jairam Ramesh. Now, Jairam Ramesh says that your government in the economic survey is promoting non-vegetarianism on the first day of Shravan, because the economic survey says smallholder farmers' income cannot be increased by producing rice, wheat, or even millets, pulses, and oilseeds. They need to move to high-value agriculture, fruits and vegetables, fisheries, poultry, dairy, and lo and behold, buffalo meat. Now, that's what Jairam Ramesh is talking to you about. Obviously, punning on the notification in Uttar Pradesh on display of names on the Kavad Yatra route and promoting buffalo meat in the economic survey. Are you on two boats, Shehzad?
Navika, Jairam Ramesh proves once again that just because you have a hairstyle like Einstein, you don't necessarily have an IQ like. I mean, where has it been written that you have to eat it? It could be for export, right? But this is Jairam Ramesh, and far too many people give him too much seriousness. Let me just give you a couple of statistics. By the way, even Dr. Manmohan Singh and earlier Congress regimes have advocated for, other farm activities like dairy, horticulture, floriculture, export of fruits, vegetables, and other kinds of
Well,
This is the finance minister reaching North Block over there. Sorry, Shehzad, but those are the live pictures coming in. Nirmala Sitharaman arriving there at the North Block. And of course, she's going to have a pact as we've been discussing. The first in a series of stopovers before she finally reaches the Parliament. And of course, Navika, typically about a 15-20 minute meeting that she'll be having.
I don't know. I'm somebody who looks at body language, color of the clothes. And what she's wearing is a rather Sada budget. So are we expecting a Sada budget because she's wearing an off-white sari? Well, I'm just trying to make budgets interesting, but Shehzad, yes.
Navika, the problem is that Jairam's tweet gets read without any interruption. And when the BJP has to respond, there are 10 interruptions.
क्या करें? Finance minister reaches North Block at that time and we are covering the budget. Shehzad, क्या करें? तुम्हारी भी मजबूरी है, तुम्हारी भी मजबूरी है, हमारी भी मजबूरी है.
I understand. I'm just saying that let me have the protection of 30 seconds to make the point I'm making. It's a rather serious point. Today, India has become number one in milk production. Almost 5% is contributed to the national economy by dairy. The fact is that we contribute 23% to the global milk production. Is Jairam Ramesh saying that milk production should not be as a legitimate means of augmenting the agricultural incomes? Is that the stand of the Congress party? It's very easy for him to make these smart aleck tweets, but it is very difficult that the consequences of these tweets that they are. Is Mr. Jairam Ramesh against the augmentation of small farmer incomes by promoting dairy, horticulture? The best model of this has actually been seen in Western Maharashtra, where Sharad Pawar comes from. So is Mr. Jairam Ramesh advocating that? I think it is time to have a serious conversation. And the second point I wanted to address what Dr. Mehrotra was just talking about. Where does private investment go? Private investment necessarily follows capacity utilization. That is improving. We've seen over the past 10 years, there have been major reforms that have been done. Ease of doing business has been improved. We've seen the kind of unnecessary laws and compliance that have been done away with. Startups have increased from 400 to about 1,15,000 startups. So it's a more business-friendly environment. And that in itself is pushing private investment into the entire economy as well. So therefore, one has to also see that the burden of ensuring private sector investment comes in also lies on the states. What are the state governments doing when it comes to...
What are the state governments doing? For that view, joining me this morning is Mr. Deepak Reddy of the TDP. Good morning, Mr. Deepak Reddy. And what are states doing? More importantly, what are states like Andhra Pradesh and parties like the TDP expecting from this budget? Given the fact that everybody has said that you are the biggest crutch that this government is resting on. People labor to make that point. But special status, do you think that's even a possibility given that the 14th Finance Commission had said special status as a definition does not quite exist? And the fact is that every state that needs funds can be given above the 32% to the 42% devolution from central taxes and central support. So Deepak Reddy, the most important headline this morning is what is Chandrababu Naidu and Andhra Pradesh expecting, and will you be cheering the budget with the BJP this evening, or are we going to get a new political story?
A very good morning, Navika, to you and everybody. Before I start off, let me tell you, the India ecosystem is trying very hard to harp on the special status. And, they're continuously going on about it, thinking that they can drive differences between the state government and the central government. But we have made it absolutely very clear that we would not be specifically insisting on the old special status, but we have put forward a bunch of requests to the government, like assistance and clearing the pending bifurcation issues, which are long pending for the last 10 years. Then we have asked for assistance in irrigation projects like Polavaram and the development of Amravati. and we have certain welfare schemes which are state specific, and we requested a certain assistance on that front also. And specifically what we were looking at was some kind of tax incentives and additional support for new industries to come in. So we have been very flexible in working around and seeing that things go forward, rather than sticking to that term of special status, as the indie ecosystem is really praying that we harp on that and get a difference. So we have given all our requests.
अगर आप सोच रहे थे कि ये स्पेशल स्टेटस पर मेक और ब्रेक हो जाएगा एनडीए में, दीपक रेड्डी जी कह रहे हैं ऐसा कुछ होने वाला नहीं है, तो क्या इंडिया अलायंस अब रिकैलिब्रेट करेगी अपनी स्ट्रैटेजी ऑफ ऑपोजिशन?
नहीं नविका जी, ऐसा नहीं है। मैं सीरीज वाइज 2-3 कमेंट्स में सुन रहा था। मैं अभी इस बात से बिल्कुल भी एग्री नहीं हूं कि अभी किसी ने कहा कि द बजट इज द ओनली डे व्हेन वी डिस्कस दिस इकोनॉमी लाइक जीडीपी एंड पर कैपिटा इनकम। हालांकि 2014 के बाद से इस देश में सबको आदत हो गई है इन एक्रोनिम को पढ़ने के लिए, जब डीमोनेटाइजेशन एकदम से लागू कर दिया जाता है और बताता है कि देश नई आर्थिक नीति में जा रहा है। जब इंटरिम बजट ले आते हैं, जब नीरव मोदी, मोहन चोकसी और विजय माल्या भाग जाते हैं लाखों करोड़ों अरबों रुपए लेके, तब भी हम ये बजट के बारे में डिस्कस करते हैं। हम तब भी डिस्कस करते हैं जब देश की सबसे अच्छे PSUs को लगातार सेल किया जाता है और बताता है कि हम देश की आर्थिक नीति किया जा रहा है, तब भी हम इस बजट को डिस्कस करते हैं। हम तब भी डिस्कस करते हैं जब RBI के गवर्नर रिजाइन कर देते हैं। तो लगातार हम GDP के बारे में और बात करते रहते हैं, तो ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं है कि एक ही दिन रह गया है। अब दूसरी बात मैं कहना चाहता हूँ कि इस समय देश की स्थिति की वास्तविक हालत तब पता चलती है जब हम राज्य का वित्तीय घोषी घाटा मतलब फिजिकल डेफिसिट पता करते हैं। आज की डेट में भारत का फिजिकल डेफिसिट लगभग 16 लाख करोड़ रुपए का है, जो हमारी GDP का 5.1% है। 2005-06 की बात है, 3.9% के आसपास चलता था। तो हमको बताना चाहिए कि सरकार की हालत कितनी पतली है।
All right, hands are going up on the panel and Shehzad also. First to you, Shehzad, coming to you, Anand and Rohit.
Navika, we must be very responsible. Times Now is perhaps the most watched channel in this country.
Perhaps
Somebody
it
has
is.
just said that the number
Perhaps it's a statement of fact. It is the most watched channel.
Absolutely. And Navika, because you yourself have done a master's in economy, you would know. Please tell me, Navika, which PSUs have shut down, and can you please tell me that whether the last 10 years the number of PSUs or decreased? In fact, the profit of PSUs have increased. In fact, let me even tell you about the banking sector. The private and public sector banks have recorded 3 lakh crore worth of profit. The NPAs are at the lowest. These people keep saying LIC barbad ho gaya. LIC has recorded highest profit. They say HCL barbad ho gaya. HCL has the highest shares. They say SBI barbad ho gaya. SBI is more profitable than Reliance company. When Mr. Ashutosh has just said that the PSU band ho gaya, I want to ask him which PSU has been shut down. Please name the PSU. Point number 1. And point number, these kinds of allegations, just making it and giving will not.
All right. Which PSU has shut down? Ashutosh Verma ji, do you want to give the name of the PSU that's shut down? Challenge coming in from Shehzad.
No, I will just definitely tell. Let me complete my statement about the political comment you have asked for me. मुझे लगता है कि आपने
नाम तो बता दीजिए,
पॉइंट पूछे
नाम
थे, चंद्रबाबू नायडू और नीतीश कुमार ने। मैं बिल्कुल आ रहा हूँ उसमें, मैं उसमें भी आ रहा हूँ, मैं उसमें भी आ रहा हूँ, धीरे धीरे आ रहा हूँ, सबके आ रहा हूँ। ऐसा नहीं हो सकता। राजनीतिक टिप्पणी लेनी बहुत जरूरी है। जो चंद्रबाबू नायडू, जिन्होंने सरकार में एंट्री होने से इसलिए मना कर दिया क्योंकि उन्होंने कहा लगभग हमको $6 बिलियन के अराउंड हमें सहायता चाहिए, वो चंद्रबाबू नायडू जो एक हफ्ते पहले फाइनेंस सेक्रेटरी से मिल चुके हैं, निर्मला सीतारमन से मिल चुके हैं, अमित शाह से मिल चुके हैं, वो क्या करने आए थे यहाँ पर? वो डेफिनेटली अपने राज्य के लिए बहुत बड़ा पैसा चाहते हैं। और कल जेडीयू की खुद की आपने बताया कि स्पेशल राज्य का दर्जा नहीं दे सकते हैं। जब स्पेशल राज्य का दर्जा नहीं दे सकते हैं तो फिर बिहार के लिए क्या मांगा था नीतीश कुमार ने?
तो पता चल जाएगा ना, वो तो पता चल जाएगा, इसमें क्या
The narrative has changed from special status to special package. I think the entire narrative has changed. Dr. Ranganathan.
With due respect to the exceedingly erudite Dr. Ashutosh Ji, and I've said this before, it's an absolute joy to listen to him, as is a joy to listen to everyone else. Only in India would you find the ruling dispensation and the opposition fighting over, we haven't closed down any PSU. PSU should not exist. PSUs are draining our exchequer's money. 21% of our budget that's going to be allocated today, 45 lakh crores, is going in propping up these 1830 PSUs. 400 of them are non-functional. There has been no privatization, despite Prime Minister saying the government has no business to be in business. All what this government does and other governments do is to be in the business of running loss-making businesses. There are 495 hotels that are run by the government. I can go on and on. The only thing that's been privatized in the last 10 years is Air India, after it ran a loss of 70,000 crores. Every few years we give capital infusion to banks, to telephonies, and talking about banks. Yes, the NPAs have come down. The NPAs were 14 lakh crores. But most of them have been written off. And the point is, only 10% of what has been written off has been recovered. This is a no-brainer, and I'm disappointed. That's why I said, in all the anti-national decisions that Prime Minister takes, opposition supports him. And one of the biggest anti-national decisions you can ever think of is to run PSUs.
Well, let me get in Rohit Azad. Rohit Azad.
Since I have not made any introductory remarks, let me start with that. I'll come back to that point of public sector units. Through the debate, we are going to be in disagreement, but on one thing which I agree...
I love conclusions. I love conclusions before the first point is made.
But on one thing that I completely agree with Anand is the fact that budgets are extremely important, especially because they set the tone. They set the tone for what the government is going to do, and especially the first budget of a new government. And secondly, when a government is talking about Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, then budget is the place where they can do something of that sort. So I think budgets are very important. They should be taken very seriously. The other thing on which I agree with Anand is the question of
what's going on?
डिसएग्रीमेंट में आ रहे हैं. जब उन्होंने कहा कि मोदी जी के ऊपर हाथ है, तो बिल्कुल वो आशीर्वाद का हाथ नहीं है, वो भस्मासुर का हाथ है, योगी जी का हाथ है. तो अब 400 से 240 पे आ गए. But coming to substantial points in terms of what, let's say, this economic service.
Two substantial points. What are you expecting?
On the economic survey, I think there's an important concern with growth. Consumption has not really grown. So it's a serious concern, because with growth, if household income is not growing, then it's a serious concern which should be taken into account by the budget. The other question, I think, is unemployment. And employment is an important issue on which the economic survey unfortunately blames the AI. Which seems bizarre, because there is no sector in India currently which is like artificial intelligence dominated, which should have led to unemployment. So I think the priorities set by the economic survey are extremely limiting.
I think the opposition has artificial intelligence.
Economic survey, is it more of a...
Five numbers on...
I want only two expectations.
30 seconds में.
30 seconds में. Okay, your time starts now.
ठीक है. As far as unemployment is concerned, we've seen the lowest unemployment last year, 3.1%. RBI says, now this has started.
अब expert आने वाले.
अभी शुरू हो जाएगा. RBI says, जैसे RBI कहता है, सतर्क रहे अमिताभ बच्चन, RBI कहता है 125 million jobs have been created in the last 10 years.
What data does
Okay, no. Professor साहब, एक मिनट.
देखा, see, this is as far as this is as much as agreement as we could take, and now begins the real fight. Okay. Fire.
So inflation was 10% 10 years ago. It is 5% now. Forex was 300 billion. It is 650 billion now. Exports are highest ever, 780 billion. Sensex is 81,000, highest ever. Jobs, as I said, 125 million jobs created. PMI, Purchasing Managers Index, is 59, highest in the last 16 years. Debt to GDP ratio is at a 4-year low. आपको चाहिए क्या? मैं बताता हूँ मुझे क्या चाहिए. वही कह रहा हूँ बार-बार.
जेब में पैसे. जेब में पैसे is what people need, because that's why people are being demanded.
गवर्नमेंट के नंबर से ही बहुत सारी चीजें और आती हैं बाहर निकल के. बिल्कुल
हम दोनों
Consensus has ended, disagreement is the order of the day.
एक नंबर, अब गरमाई चीजें, एक नंबर पूछना चाहता हूं प्रोफेसर साहब से। आप बस इतना बता दीजिए 2014 में हमारा लेबर फोर्स का फिगर कितना था और अब कितना है, बस ये बता दीजिए।
हाँ, वो ज्यादा है, हमें मालूम है। अरे भाई, मुझे बोलने दोगे कि बस बीच में ही बोल दोगे? ऐसा है, बड़ी साधारण सी बात है और शायद आप नॉन इकोनॉमिस्ट न समझे।
आप समझा, नॉन इकोनॉमिस्ट, राहुल गांधी भी नॉन इकोनॉमिस्ट है, उसको आपने चला रखा। आप नंबर बताइए ना, how many million were the labor force in 2014?
Gurudev,
if you don't know, you can
you are
tell
a
me.
scientist.
बताइए
Can
ना।
you keep your mouth shut sometimes?
No, come on, let's
listen.
If you don't know,
let him
make his point. Let him make his
Don't be a
चाहे मैं जवाब तो
Don't be a Maoist.
जवाब दीजिए, जवाब दीजिए,
Don't be a
जवाब
Maoist.
दीजिए। 30 seconds जवाब।
देखिए, बड़ी सीधी सी बात ये है कि while the so-called labor force has increased,
कितना?
अरे भाई, can I finish? I wasn't interrupting you when you were
Give the
speaking.
number.
May I?
Okay.
Sir, forgive me for.
This is not Buster. Give the number, Professor. I asked you. You are an economist. You know the numbers or not?
If you go, I mean, I can leave actually. I don't need to.
You asked
be
me to
around.
shut up.
Huh?
Did you not?
Excuse me?
Did you ask me to shut up or not?
I did not.
Okay, but what's the number? What's the number?
Navika, please let me explain. If you let him,
Okay.
give him so much
All
time
right.
to explain.
He doesn't know.
No. If he would only shut up and stop disturbing my line
Let's
of
be
thought.
polite.
There we go.
Let's be polite.
Twice he said this.
Yeah,
Let's
now
be
I have
polite.
said
Ask
it.
him the number, yaar.
Okay, okay.
Look, the point is, if millions of people who join the labor force become unpaid family labor, 55 million of that number is unpaid family labor. That means आप पकौड़ा बना रहे हैं और आपकी पत्नी और बच्चा पकौड़ा बना करके आपको दे रहे हैं. You don't get paid for it. And that...
Okay, so he's saying 5.5 crore is unpaid. Jaggi, makes sense?
Now, see, we need to look at the jobs debate in a little more nuanced manner. Everything is not jobs, okay? We have to say that jobs is a mix of real jobs where somebody employs you and you get paid a monthly wage or whatever it is. And there are livelihoods. That is, you generate a job for yourself based on self-employment, various routes, okay? So when the RBI is talking about some 650 million people who are employed, as opposed to say the gold standard in employment information is the census. In 2011, we had about 460 million people working, 360 full-time, the others with 3 months, 6 months, whatever my part-time thing, right? Now, this is probably moved up to about 650 million, around that range, okay? But not all of this is the way we define jobs. You and I may have a job because we are working for a company or something. But many people have to create their own jobs, their own livelihood.
Self-employed.
Yeah, so what is happening is livelihoods are growing, and partly it's defined as jobs in labor force surveys because of that. I personally believe that our real problem is not that jobs are not being created, but there are two issues. One, the quality of the jobs created may not be as good. And second, the real job thing, which AI, I think somebody mentioned, I disagree with him. AI will be a threat, but not yet. Our problem is automation and thing is actually making the...
So what's going to happen on the job front? We have breaking news coming in, but before that, we need to take a break. But Madhav, there's an important indication that comes from the economic survey, which is on the civil aviation front. Absolutely. The fact that the economic survey says more airports need to be built. Take us through what is that indication that's coming, and if we can put that breaking news before we go into that break.
Well, absolutely. And in fact, interesting to note that this current civil aviation minister is from the TDP. It's not the first time that the TDP has that particular portfolio. And I think that's a very clear indication of what we can expect in terms of the actual numbers of airports that we can expect and where they will in fact be expected to come out. Also, particularly given that the next 5 years, they say more airports are needed, must improve the viability of airlines, because several of the schemes, where the viability gap funding had been brought in, particularly as far as Udan is concerned, they're wanting to clearly look at a situation where the airline itself is able to sustain that. And that is, of course, a very, very important part of the plan, including international aviation hub strategies, engagement with global bodies, and so on and so forth in terms of actually increasing the aviation, because India is one of the third largest, in terms of the actual numbers when it comes to aviation, and therefore clearly a focus on how this aviation, as a sector could increase and actually have a kind of multiplier effect in the newer areas where in fact these flights at these new airports are opened. But I think on that note, Navika, we have to take a quick break, and we'll be back, I believe, with more updates.
Breaking news and updates coming up on the other side of this very short break. And Mr. Deepak Reddy, we hope you'll stay with us, because TDP क्या चाहता है, उसका दिल क्या चाहता है, that is the center of the political debate today in New Delhi. Short break, back soon. Don't go anywhere and don't touch that remote. Just leave.